Let's talk about the ongoing migrant crisis in New York City. Now, we've shown you countless videos over the last year of buses carrying migrants that arrived in the city, many of those coming from states like Texas, and that was some of the video right there on your screen. New York City Mayor Eric Adams urging President Biden to help the city avoid a budget crisis as expenses rise due to the influx of people coming from the southern border to seek temporary care and shelter. I do want to talk more about all of this. Leonardo Freitas is a chairman and managing director of HAYMAN-WOODWARD, an international immigration law firm, and he joins us now to talk about the migrant crisis. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you for having me.
So first off, let's break down the situation there in New York City. As we know, we've seen countless videos, not just of those buses arriving there, busloads of people, but also folks who are sleeping on the street and under bridges.
Absolutely. Imagine the city bustling with life and now seeing an influx of migrants daily, with the expectation of rising this number all the way to 100,000 migrants by 2025. Over the past year, these buses filled with asylum seekers, have been pulling into New York City and straining the city's resources. Shelters have been filled up so rapidly, and we've got migrants, unfortunately, sleeping on the streets, just like outside the Roosevelt Hotel. So, the city's resources have been, stretched thin, and safety, it's a concern. It's double its size just within a year. So it's a challenging scene from both a perspective of a humanitarian as well as a logistical perspective.
And New York City Mayor Eric Adams, we've heard from him a few times about this, but he's essentially issuing a warning that Biden needs to do something. What exactly does Adams want to happen? And overall, based on your opinion, is it even realistic?
Yes, Mayor Adams is wearing city concerns on his sleeve, right? He's asking for more significant federal intervention, So President Biden has, sent Tom Perez to talk to him and try to mediate the situation, where he's looking for funding. He wants financial assistance, and giving the daily cost of the staggering $10 million, a day, and it's going to be at $6.1 billion a year. It's not just about the money. Adams, is pressing for policies like, expedited, paperwork for migrants to be able to integrate faster into society. And move out of shelters. And is it realistic? Well, we've seen crises before like this, and where cities and federal government, often need to think outside the box. And while challenging, it's a collaboration that, if implemented, these goals can be achieved.
And there's been a lot of talk of what could happen in New York City and the impact not just on the state, the city, but also on the entire country. What has Adams said about what could be the outcome here if Biden, his administration, don't do something now?
Yeah, Mayor Adams paints a rather dire picture, I must say. But he's warned that the city's compassionate spirit, while it is immense, and as a former New Yorker myself, I can vouch for that, it is not infinite. So the numbers could skyrocket to 100,000, as I said before. And, and these facilities will be stretched in by 2025. Financially, this might mean that, the annual tab of $6.1 billion might, just completely, buckle the infrastructure of the city, and the overall fabric of the city as well, And if New York City is, as a major hub, faces this kind of strain, can you imagine the ripple effects that, could be felt nationwide? It will influence, other cities and situations in other, national, arenas, so it can be really complex.
I don't know if you can speak to this, but why exactly are we seeing this influx of migrants coming over the border? Again, we know those buses did start to arrive there in New York City. We've also seen them over in D.C., for instance, but they started arriving a little more than a year ago. What is with the influx of migrants coming over the border?
So, Josh, a mix of reasons. Many are deeply rooted, from violence and economic turmoil in South and Central America, as well as the challenges, as far away as Africa. So people are often escaping dire circumstances and searching for a better life, safer life somewhere else. And U.S. has historically been seen as a land of opportunity and a beacon of hope. So it's essential to remember that, migration is often a symptom of a broader social, political, and economic challenge from elsewhere, and it is brought into our shores.
Do you think there's any world where we stop seeing these buses of migrants ending up in cities like New York City? Again, a lot of them are coming from places like Texas. Do we think there's any end in sight, or is this just going to keep happening?
It's a possibility, but it kind of hinges in a few factors. Well, first of all, we need to have a comprehensive immigration policy in place, and that's something that under the political scenario right now, it's going to be extremely challenging, and also it lies in a broader collaboration between state, local officials, CBP, the Border Patrol in general. And the federal government in general as well. So it's going to be extremely challenging to get all these pieces that have been very complex moving parts to get to collaborate and get this influx of migrants to stop. It's not only Florida, we see not only Texas, but also Florida, and we've seen that lack of collaboration from the governor of each governor of these states. So, it's going to be a while we see a reduction of that influx, but it has to begin with a collaboration in all levels of government, as well as, the communities as well, reaching out. We've seen this over and over again historically. We've seen it recently in the Syrian crisis, refugee crisis. We've seen during World War II in Europe. We've seen during the Vietnam boatload crisis as well. Where all levels of government needed to collaborate in order to make things happen, and the communities as well embracing that influx of migrants and be able to accommodate their needs. So that's going to be a complex few years to come.
And a question that we do hear a lot, and I want to get your opinion on it and really your answer, is what should all of these migrants be doing now that they are here in the U.S.? How do they go about getting paperwork and things of that nature?
So asylum seekers usually receive work authorization within a matter of, in the past, pre-COVID, it used to be a matter of weeks. Now we're talking about months, and that really strains the ability of those migrants to be able to find suitable employment, and that way be able to start living that life that they were seeking. And by the way, a lot of these migrants are actual very well-educated people, and they had no idea they would be able to obtain a lawful permanent residence, by just the sheer fact that they have an advanced degree in either in some of the areas that are of national interest in the United States, like science, technology, engineering, math. So they should seek legal representation. They should seek, there are plenty of immigration clinics, nonprofit immigration clinics out there that are able to assist them, and legal aids, and also there are some firms, like us, that we provide, a certain amount of cases pro bono, to assist clients be able to get their paperwork in order for them to be able to work.
All right, Leonardo Freitas, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. Is there anything you want to add before I let you go?
I think that us, as we see the flux of migrants coming into any town, not just New York City. I used to, like I said, I used to be a New Yorker, and I completely understand what's going on in New York. But I see that also in DC, where I live, and I think it's we need to embrace the situation, not be completely against the people that are just seeking a better place to live. we have the ability to take on these folks, and we have the ability to provide them with a pathway towards citizenship. So I think it's a matter of us holding our elected officials accountable and be able to make sure that there's a balance between our national interests as well as the overall humanitarian crisis that we see coming from different parts of the world.
All right. Thank you again for taking the time to help break all that down for us.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure. Thank you, Josh.